Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new Advocacy Academy session. So today we're going to be talking about social media as a tool for health advocacy. There are not many people live on the session, although I'm seeing now that a few more people just joined. So welcome to all of you who are following live, but also to the ones that are going to be the recording. So I'm Beatriz Yañez Jimenez, and I'm the IDF Advocacy Manager, and I'm based in Spain, and I'm here with my two colleagues, Bruno and Isor.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. I'm Bruno from Brazil, currently speaking from Spain, and this is...
Hi, everyone. I'm Isa, and I'm currently speaking from Belgium. And so a few information before we start. Next slide, please. This session is part of the Advocacy Academy, which is an online platform where we gather all the advocacy content and resources, and we also developed capacity building sessions to all of our network members. And as you can see, this session is exclusive and specially organized for IDF Advocacy Network, IDF members, Blue Circle Voices, and young leaders in diabetes. Next slide.
So a few key messages before we start with the session. So just a reminder that this session is being recorded, so everyone who could not attend the live event will be able to watch through the IDF YouTube channel. You can activate the Zoom generated subtitles by clicking on closed captions. Please bear in mind that the subtitles are generated by artificial intelligence and they are not 100% accurate. The recording, the slides, and the feedback questionnaire will be sent to everyone who has registered to the event. We please ask you to take this because it's really important for us to improve and take to the directions that meet our network's expectation. And of course, if you would like to receive an attendance certificate, we remind you that you need to attend at least 80% of the live event and also complete the feedback questionnaire by 6th of May. We'll be having an interactive Q&A, so please use the Q&A function to ask your questions. Next slide, please.
Thank you, guys. And yeah, very important that you leave your questions, especially one of our speakers, Christine, is going to have to leave in less than 1 hour. So yeah, just remember to leave the questions there so we can address that before she has to leave the session. And now we're moving to the actual content of this session. I see 21 participants online. That's great. And I'm going to leave you now with our colleagues from the IDF Comms Department, Lucy and Manon.
Hello, hi everyone. My name is Lucy Mikaludis, and I am the Communications Coordinator at IDF. I'm from the UK, but working currently in France. Over to you, Manon.
So I'm Manon, and I'm the Communication Assistant. I'm French, but based in Brussels. So let's start with a quick overview of IDF presence across our various social media platforms. So if you're not following us yet, feel free to do so now. First of all, IDF has 2 Facebook pages, one, the International Diabetes Federation pages, which is dedicated to most of our activities. And the second one is dedicated to the World Diabetes Day campaigns, where we share, obviously, activities related to the campaign, but also additional educational content in general one in between 2 campaigns. Our Instagram presence focuses more on visual storytellings, testimonials, and infographics, and our X platforms focuses more on sharing policy updates and research findings.
IDF is also present on LinkedIn. It's a platform that we use to engage with our advocacy networks and also post updates about our various activities, such as promoting events and publications. And we also utilize the LinkedIn newsletter function to send a monthly update newsletter of the latest activities from IDF and share curated content, including news articles about diabetes. We're active also on TikTok. This is our newest social media platform that we launched earlier this year, and we use it to share short form videos, so videos that last about 1 or 2 minutes long, and they focus on testimonials, so people sharing their first-hand experience of living with diabetes, but also educational videos such as animations that share educational content about diabetes. We are also active on YouTube. It's the channel where we share our long-form video content, including recordings of all our IDF events, including advocacy academy sessions such as this one, and as well as video content related to our various activities. And we also have a dedicated social media platform called WeChat that we use to engage our audience in China. And we post about our activities and our World Diabetes Congress and any other subjects that could interest our audience in China. So, how to use each social network. If you're just getting started with social media, or you have limited time and resources that you can dedicate to posting on social media, it's a good idea to start with 1 or 2 channels and to slowly increase from there. So with this in mind, if you're an individual advocate, one social media network that should be a priority for you is LinkedIn. It's a great platform to help you build your professional network and connect with other advocates and policymakers. And you can also build your own personal brand by posting content about diabetes and subjects that you're interested in. Instagram is also another useful channel for storytelling, and you can utilize photos and visuals and video and live content for sharing your advocacy messages and your own personal story. X is useful as a way of keeping up to date with news from the diabetes community, and you can follow trending conversations and trending hashtags. And TikTok is a great choice if you are creative and enjoy making video content. And you can utilize TikTok challenges and TikTok trends to share your own story of living with diabetes and share your advocacy messages with a wider audience. Now, if you're posting on behalf of an organization or on behalf of a diabetes initiative, these are the platforms you might like to consider. Facebook, so creating a Facebook page to share project updates, or even a Facebook group so you can interact directly with members of your community or people interested in your activities. LinkedIn is also very relevant for organizations, as it's a platform that allows you to connect with organizations you might be interested in partnering with, as well as reaching out to policymakers and reaching potential funders. Instagram is also very relevant because it has such a wide audience. So by using visuals and video and live content, you can also share your project updates with a much wider audience. And TikTok, lastly, is interesting for organizations as it offers the opportunity to collaborate with diabetes influencers and also share entertaining and engaging and relatable content in relation to your activities.
So identify your audience. Understanding your audience is actually crucial to creating effective social media strategies. So here are some key questions that you can ask yourself. So first, who do you want to target? You need to define your target audience based on demographics, interests, behaviors, and preferences. So you can ask yourself, what age group are you targeting? What are their occupations? Healthcare professionals, policymakers, students? Where are they based geographically? And what are their interests and behaviors? You also need to define whether you're targeting individuals or businesses or organization or a specific niche groups. So once you've defined your target audience, the next step is actually to understand where do they spend time online. So each platform has its own demographic and user behaviors. So it's really crucial to understand where, to actually be where your audience is. Are they more active on Facebook or on TikTok or on another platform? So understanding this will help you to allocate your resources and time effectively. Then you need to ask yourself, what type of content do they engage with? So you need to identify the type of content that resonates with your audience and analyze its preferences. So do they prefer videos, images, text posts? You need to look at some tone, style, formats that generates the most engagement. Are they more responsive to educational video or personal narratives, text, etc.? You also need to pay attention to trending topics and hashtags. Understanding what captivates your audience is actually very important. It will help you to create content that drives impactful and meaningful interactions. Then you can also ask yourself, which influencers or key opinion leaders are they following? So understanding who your target audience follow will actually, it can provide you valuable insights into their interests and behaviors. So you can research for some popular influencers or key opinion leaders within your niche, analyze their content, their engagement rates, and keep an eye on the type of content that they actually share and how their audience are actually responding to it. And it can also be a way to create some opportunities and partnership with them as well. You can find some relevant influencers who align with your brand and values, and it can help you to amplify your message.
So now we have talked about how to identify your audience. Let's look a bit more in depth about how to engage them with an example or looking at policymakers. So what channels do they use? We predict that they are most likely to use LinkedIn and Twitter, as well as using news websites and podcasts. So what kind of content can you post that's going to engage them on social media? We recommend sharing research and data and publications. This is a way to showcase your own expertise, at the same time providing valuable content for policymakers. Because at the end of the day, we know that policies are very often informed by real world data. So if you have anything new to share, this can often be very interesting to policymakers. In addition to this, it's a good idea to post testimonials, so showing your own personal story or those from your community. And this is an opportunity to really share the emotional side of things and share the story behind the data. It's a good idea to collaborate with other advocates and organizations, as this can help to amplify your voice on social media. Social media is a very saturated place with many posts about diabetes being published every day. So being able to unify with other advocates and other organizations behind one key message or one key hashtag can help your message to stand out from the crowd and attract the attention of policymakers. It's a good idea as well to have a clear call to action. Policymakers don't always have a lot of time, so being able to communicate clearly the action you want them to take after seeing your post, whether it's to read an article, to attend an event, or to support a key policy, then make that clear from the beginning. And lastly, it's useful to highlight how your ask or your call to action is linked to their broader political commitments. So if you're posting an advocacy message about diabetes coverage targets, for example, it's useful to show how that ties into broader ideas about advocacy, so such as universal health coverage and things like that.
So how to reach a wider audience? You can consider this following strategies. So first, you should definitely focus on a message or one call action post. This will increase your audience engagement and action. Don't forget to use some video content, as Lizzie said. Video is a very powerful tool for catching people's attention. So you can experiment with live video streams, testimonials, interviews, behind the scene footage to engage visually and emotionally with your audience. Don't forget also to incorporate some trending hashtags relevant to your topic to expand your reach beyond your current followers. So this will expose your content to users who may not follow you but are interested in the same topics. And you can use some online tools like right tag or hashtagify, for example, to discover popular and trending hashtags. But you can also just have a look at what others, influencers or organization, what they're doing and which hashtags they're using. As I already said before, you can also explore some Instagram collabs, some collaboration with other accounts using Instagram. By partnering with them, you can actually tap into their audience and reach new followers. And finally, take advantage of platform-specific features to encourage interaction and engagement. For example, you can create some LinkedIn polls to gain insight from your audience. You can also use some of the Instagram story features like polls again, quizzes, Q&A. You can also develop custom Instagram filters to enhance your brand visibility and user engagements. You can have a look at what we've already done. We already developed some Instagram filters for our past WDD campaign, and it's all accessible on our Instagram account.
So now we've had a look at social media networks, how to identify your audience and really optimize your content. Let's see how to put this into practice with some social media content planning tips. First is to be consistent and post at regular times. This means deciding how many posts you would like to post per week and sticking to it. This is useful because it helps your audience know what to expect and also has a positive impact on the algorithm that responds better to accounts that post at regular intervals instead of posting 3 posts on one day and then not posting for a long period afterwards, for example. It's important to choose the right format as well based on the platform that you're going to be posting on. So this means even if you're posting about the same topic on different social media networks, be sure to adapt the content each time. So to make sure you have the right image dimensions, that you have the right number of characters in your caption, and the video is the right length. You can also create a content calendar that will help you plan out a week or a month's worth of content, and so you know exactly what you will post and when. And to help you come up with new ideas and to populate your content calendar, you can come up with some content pillars based on the kind of content that you would like to post. So these are reoccurring themes to help you organize the content. And we have shared some ideas below, which include living with diabetes stories. So being able to share a story from you or someone in your community every week. You might decide to share diabetes news articles, data on new research, a project update, an event promotion, or an expert interview.
So there are several free social media tools actually that can help with various aspects of managing social media accounts. So here is just a short list of what you can find. So if you're looking, for example, for a scheduling tool, you can use Buffer or Letter, for example, that can allow you to schedule posts across multiple social media platforms. If you're looking for a content creation tool, Canva is a great platform, a very user-friendly platform to create some visuals, templates, also short animations now. And if you're active on Facebook with a Facebook page, for example, you can use the tool Facebook Insights for analytics. So that would give you some metrics, engagement metrics, demographics, and many more. So you will receive this PowerPoint presentation after the webinar, and you can just click on the different links and hopefully you will find something that suits you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Lucy and Manon, for building the foundations and presenting about the fundamentals of social media. And thank you so much to the entire International Diabetes Federation team for giving me the opportunity to be with you here today and present my passion, which is communications and digital media. My name is Christine Malouf. I am a multilingual communications expert and have been a diabetes advocate since I've been in my teenage years. I am also a Blue Circle Voice member with IDF, and I'm representing the National Diabetes Organization, Dialeb, based in Lebanon. As I mentioned, My older sister was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was a teenager. And so my mother and my sister took it up as their life mission to create an organization in Lebanon in order to raise awareness about diabetes and its complications and be able to prevent it. And so I grew up in the nonprofit space and then found my passion, which is communication. So I'll be sharing a little more details and adding to the previous presentation on how we can use social media effectively and be able to use it as a tool, whether as an individual, whether as an advocate, or also as an organization. Next slide, please. So why is social media important? We've been talking about how to use it, what are the different platforms, and all of that. But we know that with the day-to-day changes in technology, a lot of the information that we consume is currently in our fingertips. It's on our mobile phone, it's on our computer. And so tool to build your persona or even to share your story, and also a news tool. Like a lot of the information we get is from social media. Sharing correct information and raising awareness is very important. As previous speakers mentioned, diabetes information and other information has become a little saturated online, and a lot of people are sharing it. However, it's so important to learn how to identify what information is correct, what information is not correct, and how to use it, whether it's in a storytelling format as an individual living with diabetes or caring for a person living with diabetes, or as an educational content, knowing how to select your sources. Another important feature of social media is its huge networking component. So different social media platforms, as mentioned earlier, have different audiences, have different tools. And so each of them have the ability to be able to connect with like-minded individuals. For example, if you're looking for a support group and finding other people like you, a Facebook group will be your go-to. If you're looking to connect with other professionals or try to find policymakers or key opinion leaders, then LinkedIn would be the platform for you. And so knowing what you'd like to achieve is important in order to choose what social media platform works for you. So before we get into what we're trying to achieve, what message we're trying to make, we always have to set a goal. And when we think about setting a goal, there are three key things we need to consider. One is, who is our audience? Two is, what do we want them to think? Because every post that we are posting on their respective social platforms has a goal, has a call to action, and has a purpose. And once we've identified that, we want to make sure that the person or the viewer seeing this content knows that this is what we want them to achieve. And so the last goal is, why should they do that? What is the call to action? Having said that, we're going to get into how we select our audience and what the different types of audiences is on the next slide. Before we get into the audiences, I want to take a step back and zoom out onto when we're thinking about the content itself. It is a communications aspect, and any form of communication, whether it's verbal, written, or auditory, needs to focus on the fundamentals of writing, which are the 5 W's. We need to know who, what, when, where, why, and how. What that means is you always need to assume that any content that is being posted on social media, there's always going to be someone that is seeing this content that you are posting for the first time. This person may not necessarily know anything about you or your organization. And so there's always a possibility that you are targeting someone new. What that means is that you need to make sure that your caption and content is well-rounded in order to answer these questions and be able for anyone that is seeing the content at the same time or for the first time to understand what you're trying to say. So I'll give you an example. If I'm posting an article that I read about a new research related to diabetes, and I just say, oh, what a great research, that doesn't give much added value to the person that's seeing my post. However, if I turn that caption into more of as a diabetes advocate, I saw this research and I think this research would add this and this and this and should be used in order to create X, Y, and Z. So that gives a foundation to the caption I just wrote. I gave a little bit about myself for someone that doesn't know who I am or why I'm interested in even sharing this article. And then also encapsulated some more detail into the caption and made the reader want to know more if they are interested. And so making sure that the 5 W's are your core when writing any sort of content, regardless of short form or long form, even video content, is super important in your social media and digital journey. Next slide, please. So luckily, we have so many different platforms to choose from, and it may get so overwhelming. And I get a lot of questions from other advocates or patients saying that we can't keep up. There's so many different platforms, and you don't have to be on all the social media platforms. Definitely, that's not what we're trying to do here. It's always important to remember that what you post online is totally in your hands. You can share as little or as much information as an advocate or as a patient yourself. And in order to know which different platform works for you or which one you feel more comfortable in, we need to address and know who your audience is and what you're trying to achieve, as I mentioned previously. Usually in healthcare and in nonprofits, we have a wide variety of audiences. These include policymakers, patients, caregivers, industry, the general public, and clinicians. It's important to note that a lot of times we get confused that in everything that we post, we are targeting the general public. That could be the case because that is a huge audience. However, within that audience, you can include the patients, the caregivers, clinicians, and policymakers as well. And so identifying who you're trying to reach and what you're trying to say is a very important early step, which will help you in identifying the platform that you'd like to build your online persona in. And also it will help customize your messages and your posts accordingly. Next slide, please. Now that we have the fundamentals of writing, we've discussed the different audiences and previously discussed the different platforms, let's talk about the types of content, because our goal is to be able to use these social media platforms in a way that we are either shedding light on diabetes awareness or as a patient sharing our story, sharing our experience, and other things. So the first type of content could be educational content. What that means is you're sharing information if you belong to an organization. Just like myself, I'm sharing information from Dialab and also sharing information from the International Diabetes Federation, because these are credible sources. They're sharing educational content, and it's important for us as a form of awareness. A simple share or repost would help a lot of people. Personal stories. I started off my presentation by sharing my personal relationship to diabetes. As having a sister with type 1 diabetes and a father with type 2 diabetes, that is my personal connection. People like to be able to connect with other people. And by being personable and sharing that connection, that creates a deeper bond and also helps break stigmas. And so this is where it gets a little tricky, because some people might say, I don't want to share too much detail. I just want to focus on this, or I don't feel comfortable doing that. Or actually, I feel comfortable and want to share everything. All of the below is correct, and you choose how much you want to share. So don't feel pressured that when someone tells you share your story, there are so many different ways that you are able to share your story. And the most important thing is for you to feel comfortable with the way that you're sharing your story. Awareness campaigns, as previous speakers mentioned, IDF leads the World Diabetes Day campaign. That is a big milestone and a big key campaign that happens every year that all of us are here to support. Other campaigns also happen throughout the year. There are many awareness days that are related to diabetes as a awareness campaign. And so it's super important to be able to help spread the word and the relationship. As we know, diabetes is also linked to many other diseases. Resource sharing, as mentioned, there are many policy reports, many other new research that is in the pipeline. So it's important to know that when we are sharing that we are checking our sources, making sure that they're coming from reputable organizations and that they are going to serve other patients or caregivers or the audience that we identify for this content. Advocacy for policy change. As the example that was given earlier, X or LinkedIn are usually the best platforms in order to reach policymakers. What that means is usually you are calling for action, you are calling for the support, which could be either access to more affordable healthcare, insurance coverage, access to medication. And so by building a campaign or content revolving around whatever your call to action is, those two platforms as an example would be key in order to address and be able to reach those policymakers. Next slide, please. I know social media has a lot into it and it's constantly changing. The more time you spend experimenting, the easier it will become. That doesn't mean that you have to be glued to your phone at all. As I mentioned, staying up to date is important. Incorporating visuals and emojis make it more relatable and personable as well. Always assume that the audience is seeing your post for the first time. So remember the 5 W's I mentioned earlier. Check your sources, use accurate information, rely on the organizations that you are a part of, and by supporting them, you are going a long way already. Respect privacy and confidentiality when sharing your story and interacting with other patients and caregivers. Provide resources and make sure that any content that you are sharing is with a purpose and has an end goal in mind. Think of other groups and thought leaders to tag. And also make sure to use hashtags. And always remember that social media is a powerful tool for diabetes and advocacy when used responsibly and effectively, and you are in control of how you want to use those platforms. Next slide, please. And with that, I know it was a little generic, but I'm happy to answer any questions, and I'm a click away, so please feel free to find me on LinkedIn and stay connected. And if not, I will see you at the IDF Congress, hopefully. Thank you so much.
Very much, Christine, and we remind everyone that Christine is going to have to leave this session in 25 minutes or so. So please, if you have any question for her, we have just received one for the moment. Please share it as soon as possible. So now, Isor, Bruno, and I are going to be speaking about social media, especially for diabetes advocacy. Some of the things we are mentioning our colleagues, Lucia, Manon, and Christine may have mentioned already, but we think they are important concepts that we want to share with you today.
So to start with some tips how to be efficient on advocacy and be updated. So we recommend you to follow relevant stakeholders on social media. This can be politicians, can be private companies, international organizations, including IDF and others, key opinion leaders such as researchers, athletes with diabetes, celebrities with diabetes, and news outlets. To sign up to relevant newsletters, so the IDF e-alert, the WHO Global Diabetes Compact, the Lancet Diabetes, to monitor key international days and follow their accounts. So it has already been mentioned on previous presentations about WDD, but also the World Health Day, Universal Health Coverage Day. So with all of these, you can be up to date on what has been discussed and what's going on around diabetes and mostly diabetes policies. Next slide, please. So this is a great tool that often is forgotten, that is to set up a Google News alert. So it's pretty straightforward. You just decide what word you wanna monitor. So in here we just added a screenshot for diabetes, but it can be also a relevant stakeholder. So instead of diabetes, you would add just a name, and also you can include like a name of a policy or a bill of law, something that is being under discussion in the parliament, in the Congress, so you can keep up to date. And you can add some filters, so how often you want to receive the alerts, the language, and so we highly recommend you, especially when following any political process which involves the approval throughout like steps. We highly recommend you to add this too. And we already mentioned, but another reminder to read the IDF e-alert and the IDF biweekly updates, as in both communications, we send some important information and resources to conduct your advocacy work. Next slide.
Thank you, Bruno. And again, very important, all of you should be receiving the IDF e-alerts, and most of you, the Young Leaders and Critical Voices, are receiving the biweekly updates. So it's important not only to open them, but to read them. There is a lot of information that can be very helpful for your advocacy at the global and at the national level. And now let's talk a bit about LinkedIn. And I want to start by asking everyone that is on the session today, and I think it's a bit over 20 people, if you can write on the chat if you have a LinkedIn account. I think it would be interesting to see how many of you do and how many of you don't. So LinkedIn, it's a very useful resource. So a couple of months ago, we had this session on effective communication where we're saying that the first time you introduce yourself to someone else is like your presentation letter. So let's say that when someone first sees your LinkedIn profile, and sometimes that's going to happen before they meet you in person, that is also a presentation letter. So it's very important to have a good LinkedIn profile that looks professional. So we encourage you to use good images. So for your profile picture, a high quality headshot, something that looks good and you are recognizable. And also for the banner image, if you have a project that has a logo or social media channels, or if you work for a specific company doing advocacy, you can also include logo and some of the visuals of the campaigns you are involved in. Also, you can add some relevant keywords to your profile. That's going to make it easier for your profile to pop up when people are making search. So for example, you are in X country and someone is going to search for diabetes advocate and the name of the country. If you are using those keywords in your biography and in your headline, it's going to be easier for your profile to appear on the top searches when this person is looking for those advocates. And on the following slides, we give you some tips to build your network, and not only to build it, but to engage with it. So we see a lot of, and all of us receive a lot of invitations to connect on LinkedIn, but then not that many people use actually the platform to share news. So really, for you as an advocate, it's very important that you share relevant news for your community, for your country, and also news that could be relevant globally with the network that you are building. We do have an IDF group in LinkedIn for young leaders and Blue Circle Voices. There is a QR code in there that you can scan and you can join the group if you haven't done it yet. And also my colleague Isa has just shared on the chat the link to join the group. So yes, we encourage everyone to be there, because that way you are not only going to be in contact with the IDF team, but you're also going to be in contact with other young leaders and other Blue Circle Voices. And we think this is very important because many of you are working on similar projects or are interested in similar things, and this provides you with a platform to interact with each other. Another thing that you can do, all of those that are joining here today are either IDF members, Blue Circle Voices, or young leaders. So you are connected with IDF. And in the case of the Blue Circle Voices and the young leaders in diabetes, we recommend you to include this role that you have with IDF in the volunteer section. Many of you included in the work space in LinkedIn, and it shouldn't be like that because you are volunteer for IDF. So we encourage you to revise your LinkedIn profile if you have one, and to see how you have included in there your work as a Blue Circle Voice or young leader in diabetes. Of course, we encourage you to follow the IDF page on LinkedIn. If we can go back to the previous slide, please. To follow the IDF page on LinkedIn and to turn on the notifications. We share a lot of updates in there. So yeah, we really recommend you to follow us also in this channel, and please share all the relevant content. And one important thing for LinkedIn is that if you do not have a business card, you can use your LinkedIn account as one. So when you are on your phone, if you open the LinkedIn app, on the search bar, if you click in there, you will see an icon that you see on the screen. And if you click on that icon, you will be generating your own QR, and someone else can scan that QR and you will be automatically connected on LinkedIn. Or you can also scan someone else's QR. So this is kind of like exchanging business cards when you don't have one, and it's a great way actually to connect in an instant way with someone that you are meeting, instead of saying, I will look up for you on LinkedIn afterwards, because maybe that will not happen if you do not do that in the moment. So we recommend you to use the tool like this. And yeah, a final note in there, remember that you are bringing a unique value, which is your own experience. So also use this own experience in LinkedIn by sharing things that are happening with you and also your projects.
Next, please. Thank you. So as part of this presentation, we also wanted to share an important tool that can help you target your policymaker more efficiently. And we really encourage you to use this IDF tool, as we really think it can be useful. It's quick and easy, and you can send a message directly to your health minister or to the United Nations in just a few clicks. It's very easy to use, so you just have to click on start, you fill in your name, your address, your country, and you can even add a personalized message to it, and then the tool will automatically tailor an email and a letter to be sent to your policymaker with important figures on diabetes prevalence in your country. And it will also be translated either in French, English, or Spanish. So we really encourage you to use this platform. It's very useful to send a clear call to action and asking decision maker to prioritize healthcare and work to achieve universal health coverage. So we really advise you to have a look and try it. And next slide, please. And we also wanted to promote one more time or 2 pages that are specifically dedicated to the young leaders in diabetes. We don't know if you already know those pages exist. So we have the Facebook one, which is the young leaders in diabetes, where we can share updates on project, but also it's a good place to communicate with fellow advocates. And the same thing on the Instagram account, where you can see here a picture from the Lisbon training, and it will be also a good place to network and have all the updates from the network. And we really advise you to follow those pages if you're not already doing it. Thank you.
And yes, here you can see that actually we do have one challenge with the YLD social media channels. And well, the fact is that we have had a social media working group for the last 2 cohorts of the young leaders. And actually on the image in there, the first one, you can see 3 of the members of that working group. The reason why we created this system is because we really thought that the YLD channels should be led by the young leaders themselves, because they are the ones who have the contact directly, and we thought that it would be good that the young leaders are interacting directly with their own audience. We have launched several calls for content to all the young leaders in diabetes, but we have had very little responses. So what happens here? This is an account for a group of people, and these type of accounts, this type of channels will never be successful if not everyone contributes. So we really need to hear about activities that you are doing, events that you are organizing, or even events that you are attending in your country. I don't know, symposium you are going to, anything that you think would be relevant. You can please share that with us, because we can add that to the YLD channels. Equally, many of you are developing projects in your country, so we really encourage you to share any updates with us, because we will be able to promote this in the YLD channels. And we have, I think, over 4,600 people in the YLD Facebook group. So that is a very big audience that will be learning about your project. So we encourage you to please, next time that we launch a call for contributions, you reach out to us.
On that note, we, in partnership with the current YLD social media working group, came up with the idea of calling all the YLDs for testimonials. So we'll be contacting all the YLD community so they can share the experience as being part of the program, but also, as Bea mentioned, the IDF social media channels are open to promote and disseminate relevant work and activities that you develop. So feel free to contact us at the advocacy@idf.org in mail. Next slide, please. And a really important reminder from the advocacy team to each and every of you to be careful with advocacy burnout. So, of course, we are talking here about social media, about being present, about being engaged, about posting, but our health should always come first. So don't feel obligated to do and be present in every social media channel. Just start lowly and don't overestimate your capacity. So we just wanted to remind this and give you like this virtual warm hug. Next. So now we're gonna go for the Q&A. In order to this be a bit more interactive than a normal webinar or online event, we're gonna promote you, all of you, to be panelists. This would allow you to open your cameras and mics, and we really hope that you can participate and exchange with us on this unique opportunity.
Okay, so while Bruno is doing that, all of you are going to be seeing a notification on Zoom saying that you are promoted to a speaker. So please accept that. We would like to see you. So please open your webcam. And as well, we're going to invite a few of you to read your questions. I see, Natalia, that you're saying that you like the presentation. Thanks a lot. And I hope that as soon as you are a speaker, we can see you. So we had one question while Bruno is doing this. We have one question that we wanted to ask Christine, and that one is, how do I know which platform is the best one for the message that I want to convey? Because there are so many platforms that it can be difficult to decide. And also which type of content is best to promote on social media, which type of content does best in general.
Thank you so much for that question. So I think it goes back to different personalities and what you're trying to achieve. So as Lucy and Manon went into how the different social media platforms work, knowing what audience you are trying to achieve helps choose which social platform is best for you. So as an example, if you're trying to be able to meet with other patients, then joining a Facebook support group would be best. If you're trying to connect with other medical professionals or other policymakers, then LinkedIn or X would be your go-to. So it really depends on who the audience is. That will help identify the platform that you want to choose. For the second part of the question, in terms of the content, that also depends on the platform. So nowadays we see a lot of people that they tend to post the same amount of information or the same content on all social media platforms. That is something we want to try to avoid as much as possible. What that means is you don't necessarily have to create very different content for each social platform. It's just a matter of tweaking the language or changing the format, as others said as well, making sure the image is correct, making sure the tone of voice, if you're posting on LinkedIn, is a little more professional, a little less emojis could go there. But if you're posting on Instagram, then you can post as many emojis as you want, try to use the filters. So it's really important. I think with practice, once you discover your own voice and the path you want to take, then it becomes easier.
Thank you very much, Christina. Good to start seeing some of you on the screen. So I see Natalia, I see Jerome as well. I see Somorda. Hopefully a few of you will still be joining in a few minutes. Natalia, you have one question. So go ahead, you can unmute yourself and shoot.
Okay. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. So I was a young leader in 2015. So I follow you guys, and I want to ask you about how can I collaborate with the social media in young leaders, Blue Cycle Voices. So it's very important for me because during the pandemic, I stopped with my project. So if you don't know how which one is Picnic Azul, or in English, Blue Picnic. So it's a big event here in Brazil. We can do a meeting in a park with a family, friends, and another person who wants to know about diabetes in a learned way. So in a playful way, it's very important here. So in November, I started again and I want to share the results about it. So I want to know how can I collaborate with them. And one point more, really, I loved the presentation. I work with social media in some points, and guys, you rock, really.
Thank you, Natalia. And of course, we remember the Blue Picnic. And I can imagine that with the pandemic, obviously, this was a face-to-face activity. So yeah, I can imagine impacted by that. So you are still a young leader, actually. You are one of our alumni. So I guess you are receiving our bi-weekly updates. So over there, actually, in every bi-weekly update, we have a call for content. We have this box under all the different items that we are sharing every 2 weeks. And in there, we encourage everyone to submit the content that you have. And it can be either an email that you write with just text, what you have been doing.
Like a briefing, a newsletter, okay.
That's it. But also you can share, because we understand and we want to make it easier for people. So we understand you maybe the time to write a lot. So what we encourage everyone to do is to share actually posts that you have posted on your LinkedIn, your Facebook accounts. So any post that you have written about your project, you can just forward that to us, and then we will see how we incorporate that into the YLD channels. And Bruno, I guess we can also connect Natalia with the social media working group.
Bruno was a big friend to encourage me to start again with Blue Picnic. I miss you, Bruno.
Thank you, Nati. Yeah, I miss you too. Definitely, we can connect Natalia and any other YLD interested in supporting the current social media working group.
We will do that.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
And knowing that Christine has to leave just in a couple of minutes, there is one question by Robert regarding fake news. I do not see you, Robert, as one of the people who have accepted being a speaker. So yes, just a question, and I think it's very relevant nowadays. So what do we do? How can we differentiate and tell apart fake news and misconceptions and things that are not correct from actual facts about diabetes?
So I think it's important, as I mentioned, to check your sources. So what that means is you need to make sure there's a lot of spam also going around, whether it's on your phone or messages, that you actually click to see where the information is coming from. That will help identify if it's a credible source. When you're trying to get information about diabetes, educational content, make sure that it's from reputable organizations that are well known, such as International Diabetes Federation, your associations back home, and other bigger associations, to make sure that those are based on scientific knowledge. And so sometimes it does get tricky, but making sure that you are relying on the journals or some blog posts, because there are some content that are on blog posts and those are reliable. So it's not just those scientific articles that are hard to understand, but knowing the communities that are based around diabetes is very important.
Thank you very much, Christine. And we know you have to leave now for a work meeting. So yeah, thank you again for accepting our invitation to speak today. And we look forward to collaborating with you in future initiatives.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. It's always great to see you all, and hopefully we see each other soon in person. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
We
Bye.
still have a couple more questions. So let me just check.
Bea, Dr. Jackie Maluf, Vice President, had her hand raised. So maybe, Jackie, you can open your mic and ask her question.
Yes, actually, it's more than a question. It's a comment where I would like to really, from the deepest of my heart, congratulate the communication team. All of you, you've done an outstanding job. The information you have given today is of utmost importance. And this is coming from a person who has a PhD in communications. So I want to tell everyone who's attending that you've been exposed to great information today. You've been very lucky for that. And this is all thanks to the efforts of the team. And all of us at IDF are doing our best to offer the best to the people living with diabetes by all means. And capacity building is key to every single diabetes advocate or the person who is willing to become a diabetes advocate. Nothing is hard, nothing is impossible. Just aim for it, get the proper information, listen to the expert, take advantage from these sessions, attend all of these sessions, and make good use of all the information you get. So that was all I needed to add. And I hope to see some of you soon in our board meeting. And congratulations again on the great efforts you are doing. Big hug to all of you.
Thank you, Jackie, and indeed, we will see you soon. And thanks again for representing the IDF members in these sessions for the Advocacy Academy, because it's true that normally most of the participants that we have are from either the Blue Circle Voices or the Young Leaders in Diabetes, but it's also very important for us that IDF members participate as well. We do have one question about how to get involved in World Diabetes Day on social media, because World Diabetes Day for us is not only November 14, it's actually a much longer campaign.
Yes, I could take this question, Bea, thanks. So I encourage you to follow the IDF channels dedicated to World Diabetes Day. So we mentioned our Facebook page, and that's where you'll see regular updates throughout the year. As we get closer to the campaign, we'll also be sharing some dedicated materials that are designed to be shared on social media, and they'll have the key messages. So as it gets nearer to the time, you can use social media cover photos from the official World Diabetes Day campaign and visuals, as well as infographics and videos. So sharing content from the campaign is a great way to raise awareness. But you can also use social media to promote your own World Diabetes Day activities. If you're organizing an event locally, you can promote it through your social media channels and use the hashtag World Diabetes Day, as well as the official hashtag for the campaign, and be sure to share photos and videos during your events and afterwards as well.
Thank you very much, Luciana. And definitely, it's something that we have been encouraging all the young leaders to do. I'm sure everyone in the community participates at least in one small activity for WDD. So that's great content. And if you tag us, we are going to be able to share that and amplify it. So for us, it's very important to see everything that is going on worldwide. We do have a couple extra questions. Jerome, actually, you had one question, and I see you have accepted the invitation. So yes, you can go ahead and ask it yourself.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for organizing this session. I have to ask that the IDF has the program in French, because there are many French speakers who have the diabetes project or in many countries that in West Africa they speak French. Congo, Burundi, and the other countries. I'm asking that you have that program to work in French. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Jerome. So, well, actually, the team that you can see here representing IDF, it's 5 of us, and we are more or less a quarter of all the IDF staff. So while we do work in English, French, and Spanish, and most of our information is available on all these languages, most of the projects take place in English only. We have some exceptions. For example, Bruno is the lead of the Kids with Diabetes in Schools program, and that program has a lot of the materials available in French. So we do have some French resources online. We do not have any project specifically in French. We try from time to time to have some online sessions, either in Spanish or in French, but capacity-wise is a bit complicated for us. But what we can tell you, and it's good that also we have Jackie here, is that the regions also play an important part in this language component. So in South America, as you can imagine, the region does a lot when it comes to promoting materials in Spanish and organizing activities in that language. And the same happens, especially for Africa, when it comes to French. So Jackie, from the Middle East and North of Africa perspective, because you are also covering a lot of French-speaking countries in North of Africa, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yes, thank you, Bea. And Jerome, I just want to specify one thing. If, pardon me, if you mean the YLD program, it is a requirement for YLDs to be kind of fluent in English, because it's impossible to do everything in every different language. But I want you to know that the IDF board, as well as the team, we are all keen in trying to make it easier for everyone in their own language. It doesn't mean that that is easy, but we are trying. And a lot of the material of the website has been translated into different languages. Now, I want to tell you that whatever is happening at a regional level in Africa, for example, we will be in Abidjan next October for a conference and a board meeting. There will be many sessions given in French, and I believe I will be participating in one of them. And we're doing our best. So let me tell you that, for example, for myself, as Bea mentioned, coming from Lebanon and the MENA region, we have the challenge of offering every material in Arabic to our people, but it depends on us. It's our own effort at a regional level that we are doing now, translating what is relevant to us with the permission of IDF, with the supervision of the IDF board, into our local languages. So again, you need to consult with your regional members at IDF, with your association member, and let them know your interest in having the material in French, and they will know what to do, how to address it, how to discuss it at a board level. And of course, the results are going to be more than satisfying, I'm sure. Thank you, Bea, for giving me the chance. I really wanted to add to what you've clearly mentioned.
Thank you, Jackie. And obviously, I mean, the language are a challenge for IDF. We try to do as much as possible. And some of the activities that we do, we even do them in more of the 3 official languages for IDF. So for example, recently we had a kids survey for all of the IDF members. And apart from English, French, and Spanish, we also did this survey in Russian and in Arabic. So depending on the activity, we try to cater as much as possible for all of our collaborators. But yeah, it still remains a challenge. The same, by the way, as choosing a time for the online sessions, because we know that this time may not fit a lot of people, especially in Western Pacific and in the Western coast of the US. But yeah, we try to do what we can to at least organize some activities that are beneficial for as many people as possible. I'm checking if we do have more questions. We have one which is kind of linked to the one we had before about fake news. So before we were talking about how to tell apart fake news from actual data. And we have a question about how to actually use social media to combat misinformation. So I don't know if my colleagues from the comms department can respond to this one.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer this one. So using social media to combat myths and misinformation, I think it's useful to share when you're resharing content to make sure that it's from a reliable source. So whether it's from a news website or another diabetes organization. So when you're resharing information, just to be sure that what you're resharing is accurate, and doing your due diligence before you share it. And in terms of myths and misinformation, it's useful to be able to share your own story as a way to combat some myths and stigma that can surround diabetes, and encourage other people from the community to share their stories too. And even in an interactive way, I think diabetes associations can play an important role in education and dispelling certain myths. So maybe having some kind of interactive poll or interactive quiz can be a great way to really have those questions answered directly on social media, and having something that you can share widely as well. So yeah, that would be my my suggestions.
Thank you, Lucy. From my side, I will say if you are on social media and you actually see an account which is sharing information that you know is not accurate, and we see sometimes these messages about miraculous cures for diabetes, I really encourage you to report those accounts. They will keep on coming and new ones will come, but well, if we can shut down the ones that are already sharing and spreading misinformation, that's already a good thing to do. We don't have a lot of time left, but also I think we only have one question left. So this question is from Robert, who also shared another question before, and this question is about using social media to fundraise for projects. So here I'm looking at Bruno because maybe he will have some ideas, as he has run a successful project in the past.
Yes, so my recommendation would be to have a specific project or initiative to raise funds for. So instead, for example, of raising funds like to keep the administrative costs of organization of a project, if your funding if your fundraising campaign has a specific like deliverables. So for example, if you are fundraising in order to buy glucometers, or if you are fundraising in order to organize an event, these types of campaigns that have a concrete outcome tend to be more successful than others. There are several online platforms that offer different tools to create your own campaign. So some of them may not work in every single country. So I recommend you to have a look online and search what are the options available for Kenya.
Yeah, I can't agree more, Bruno. And well, it's a discussion that we have had in the past, and we actually had a session about fundraising not that long ago. I think it was end of 2023. So both for advocacy and for fundraising, and pretty much for everything, you really need to go out with a clear ask. So how much money do you want to fundraise, and what for? When it comes to advocacy, what do you want to achieve? What do you want your government to do? You need to be as clear as possible. Because especially when you are fundraising, if people give you money, you are going to be accountable to them. So they are going to be asking you for results, and you will have to share that with them. So that would be our recommendation. And let's take one final question. I see Marawa, who raised their hand.
Hi, it's a 1:16 a.m. It's a morning here in the Fiji. First of all, I just want to say Bula Vinaka means the hello, Bula to everyone. Thank you so much. And the end of the world here in the Pacific, South Pacific to say. I think it's the first time for me. I'm glad to be part, even though it's the middle of the night here. I mean, early in the morning, yeah, middle of the night to participate and be part of this virtual meeting. just a few minutes ago, then I received a message that okay, I have to join because I was registered lately, and on daytime. Anyway, I was going through the discussions on the group that okay, it's only 5 seconds to given to me. Okay. In terms of you know, how we can contribute, since it's the first time for me to be part of this virtual meeting for the IDF. I think for the past few years we've been part of the YLD as well. So we with us here in the Pacific is quite challenging in terms of social media. One of the challenging issues is that in terms of you know, have some people on board. We have volunteers who with the young people living with diabetes, but one of the challenging thing is the capabilities, and for them to you know, how they can transform the informations from their idea down to you know, how to use the network. That's one. And the second important thing in terms of the resources, due to the minimum number of members, it's quite rare in the Pacific, mainly for Fiji, for people to be involved, because we have a majority who are type 2, apart from type 1 who've been volunteer their time and be part of our program. So with the social marketing area, that's something that we're trying to improve, but we quite you know, find it hard for people to be involved. But we trying to, what we only opportunity we do right now, we work with our media organizations or even with the universities who can share their time and effort to be part of our social marketing. Apart from the only area where we can keep in touch right now, our strength is to say is with the social media. I think that's the only thing that we have it right now in Fiji. Unless until if I have to hear from different region, how best that you can, and for us how to follow the program. That's what you normally do. I love to hear from the team. Thank you so much, Naka.
Thank you so much, Marawa. And I don't know, Lucy, Manon, if you have any recommendation on how to involve more the community in social media.
Yes, for sure. I was going to say, yeah, when you have limited time and resources to dedicate to social media, it's a good idea to try to involve your community in sharing content so that you don't have to come up with new ideas all the time. So number one could be to share curated content. So this is articles and posts from other organizations or other members in your community. So you can simply reshare or retweet that content with a comment instead of worrying about posting something brand new. And in terms of involving your own online community, you can invite them to submit content, maybe set up a different theme that might interest them, and even setting up a survey to collect images and content, and maybe also having some kind of interactive hashtag to encourage people to post a photo online using the hashtag, something like living with diabetes, and people can share a photo from their day-to-day life, and then you can contact them, get their permission, and then reshare that content on your own social media channels. So being able to involve people to encourage them to first take part by sharing something on their own social media channels and then resharing that as part of your content strategy could be one idea.
Thank you, Lucy. From our side, and we agree with you that definitely is more difficult to mobilize the type 2 community compared to the type 1. Notably, people with type 1 diabetes normally have been diagnosed much younger, so they have been living with the condition for longer, and they are normally more active when it comes to advocacy and awareness. And people with type 2, there is still a lot of stigma associated. We know that in Fiji and in general in the Pacific Islands, there is a big impact of type 2 diabetes. So I understand that it's probably a challenge for you. I think what's important to communicate to people in your community is that everyone can benefit from their work on awareness and on advocacy on social media. So just by sharing content with you, that's going to have an impact in the community, and you are going to be able to make a change, especially in small communities and islands such as you, where change can happen faster. So that would be our recommendation, Marawa. I don't know if you have any other question for us. Well, it looks like not. And we need to move ahead anyways to some final remarks. So if we share the slides again, we have 3 more slides to share with you.
Next, please. So just some final notes, that a reminder that the recording, slides, and feedback questionnaire will be sent to everyone who has registered to this event in a couple of days. Please take the feedback questionnaire and help us to improve for the future IDF online events. And as always, if you have any questions, we are available at advocacy@idf.org.
We have an upcoming online event coming up soon. Isa, do you want to share the information about this one?
Yep. Sorry. Our upcoming event will be on diabetes and kidney disease. It will happen on the 14th of May from 4 to 5:30 Brussels time, and you can already save the date, and we'll soon be opening the registrations, and we'll be sharing the link with you.
Thank you, Isa. And we have one last slide about the next IDF World Diabetes Congress. It's going to happen in Bangkok, Thailand, exactly in 1 year. It's going to be from the 7th to the 10th of April, 2025. There are going to be many different streams and scientific sessions, and there is also going to be a stream on living with diabetes. So actually the IDF Congress is the only one that mixes this scientific with lived experience content. So we have already opened early registration on the 1st of April. So at this moment, we are encouraging everyone, especially you guys as young leaders, IDF members, and Blue Circle Voices, to share the news about this Congress with especially healthcare professionals from your country and everyone that you think that could be interested in your country. They can register now with a lower rate. So we will ask for your help in promoting the Congress. You have a QR code in there. If you scan, you will go to the Congress website, and also Isori is sharing on the chat the link to the website. And that was all from our side today. We arrived to the end of the session, actually. So thank you very much, everyone, for your participation. We have had, I think, around 30 people. So that was very good. And I think a lot of additional people are going to be following also watching this recording. So please respond to the feedback questionnaire. It's super important for us, and we look forward to seeing you in future IDF sessions. Thank you and take care. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye.